In 2011, a crowd outside Parliament House in Canberra held signs that read, "Ditch the witch and Bob Brown's bitch." The target was Prime Minister Julia Gillard. Tony Abbott stood in front of those signs. Australia was horrified, or at least some of Australia was. 15 years later, almost the same language is back. This time the target is Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen. And once again, the Prime Minister is condemning it. So is Julia Gillard herself. This week, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and former Prime Minister Julia Gillard issued a joint condemnation of what they called a Ditch the Witch campaign, being run against Premier Allen. They described it as divisive, as unacceptable, as a throwback to the worst of Australian political culture. Today, we're breaking down what's actually happening, why it matters, and what it tells us about the state of Australian politics in 2026. Let's start with Jacinta Allen. She became Victorian Premier in September 2023, succeeding Daniel Andrews, who resigned after 9 years in the role. She is the first woman to serve as Victorian Premier in the state's history. Allen's government has faced significant political headwinds. Victoria carries the largest state debt in Australian history, a legacy of the pandemic spending era and major infrastructure projects. The state government has been cutting spending, including controversial cuts to the public service and some community programs. Her approval ratings have been under pressure. One Nation's Pauline Hanson has been running what has been described as a targeted campaign against Allen, using language that echoes the 2011 attacks on Gillard. The Ditch the Witch framing has resurfaced in One Nation, communications and online spaces associated with the party. Hanson has defended the language, arguing it is political commentary, not sexism. Albanese and Gillard disagree strongly. Julia Gillard knows this territory better than anyone. She was the first woman to serve as Australian Prime Minister from 2010 to 2013, and the attacks she faced during that time went well beyond ordinary political criticism. The 2011 rally where Ditch the Witch signs were displayed, while Tony Abbott gave a speech, was a defining moment. Abbott later said he hadn't seen the signs. Many Australians didn't believe him. The images became symbolic of a particular kind of gendered hostility toward women in positions of power. Gillard's famous misogyny speech in Parliament, delivered in October 2012, directed at Abbott, became one of the most watched pieces of Australian political video in history. She named the pattern, she called it out directly, and millions of Australians, particularly women, felt seen. The fact that Gillard is now speaking out alongside Albanese about the same language being used against Allen is not accidental. It is a deliberate signal that this pattern, using specifically witch-coded, gendered language against female politicians, has not gone away. It has simply found a new target. Pauline Hanson's defence of the language is worth examining, because it represents a view that a significant number of Australians hold. Her argument is essentially, political language has always been tough. Politicians get called all sorts of things. If a female politician can't handle robust criticism, that's not a gender problem, that's a politics problem. Calling it sexism is itself a form of political manipulation, designed to shut down legitimate criticism of a government that has run Victoria into debt. This argument has traction with some voters. There is a genuine debate about where the line is between aggressive but legitimate political criticism and gendered abuse. Some people believe the witch framing is no different from calling a male politician a bastard or worse, that the gender of the target doesn't make the language inherently sexist. Others, including many women who have worked in politics, disagree forcefully. They point out that witch is not a generic insult. It has a specific historical and cultural meaning in relation to women, connecting to centuries of persecution, to the idea of women who wielded power being dangerous and deserving punishment. Using it against a female politician, they argue, is not the same as using a generic insult. It carries extra charge. It draws on something deeper. The debate about where that line is drawn is genuinely contested. What's less contested is the political effect it energises supporters. It dominates media coverage, and it puts the target and her defenders on the back foot. There's a broader context here that's important for understanding why this is happening now. One Nation is polling at 21.5% nationally. The party is in the most powerful position it has been in since the late 1990s. Pauline Hanson has been a political survivor for 3 decades, and she understands what fires up her base better than almost anyone in Australian politics. Targeting female Labour politicians with witch language serves multiple purposes simultaneously. It attacks a specific political opponent. It plays to cultural resentment about political correctness and the idea that women in power are treated more carefully than men. And it generates exactly the kind of outrage from Labour and the left that reinforces one nation's brand as the party that says what others won't. Whether it constitutes genuine sexism or shrewd political calculation, or both, is in the eye of the beholder. But the fact that it's happening again, in the same form that caused national outrage in 2011, says something about how much Australian political culture has and hasn't changed. For Jacinta Allen herself, this is a difficult moment. She is governing a state with significant financial challenges, facing a relentless political opposition, and now dealing with a nationally reported campaign that uses language specifically designed to demean her. Her response has been measured. She has said she will not be distracted by the language and will continue governing for Victorians. Her supporters in Canberra, including the Prime Minister and her predecessor Julia Gillard, have taken on the task of calling it out. Whether it matters electorally is another question. Victoria goes to the state polls in November 2026. Allen's government is in genuine political difficulty, not because of which language, but because of the state's financial situation and some deeply unpopular decisions. The gender politics may dominate the national conversation for a news cycle. The debt and the cuts will dominate voters' minds for much longer. Here's what I keep thinking about when I look at this story. Australia elected its first female Prime Minister in 2010. In 2026, the language used against her in 2011 is being recycled against another female Premier. In the years between, women have led state governments, led the opposition, led major institutions, and yet the specific gendered hostility that Gillard maimed in her misogyny speech has not disappeared. It has mutated, retreated, and returned. The debate about whether the which is sexism or just politics will continue. But the fact that we are having this specific debate about this specific phrase, about a female politician in 2026, is itself a data point about where Australia is. What do you think? Is this genuine sexism that should be called out? Or is it political language that gets applied to everyone, regardless of gender? Drop it in the comments. This is one of those debates where I genuinely want to hear different perspectives. Like and subscribe for more Australian news explained simply. See you next time.